welcome back to our channel. As you can see, we have a very beautiful, very special. I need all the noise, all the fireworks to welcome this our guest. I'm sure you're so excited, and I'm very excited. So if you're a new subscriber, welcome. We're happy to have you here. On this channel, we talk about motherhood. Our aim is to help women transition better and easier and have a beautiful motherhood journey, and not the crazy or scary stories that you hear out there. And we have, like I said, this very beautiful guest. And in case I live under the rock, I don't know who she is, please, Ma, can you just introduce yourself?
Hi, welcome to our channel. My name is Pst Laju Iren, and I'm Shion's guest.
Yes, she is.
I'm a mom of 4. I'm a daughter of Jesus.
Hallelujah.
I'm a wife of 1. I'm a pastor, filmmaker, author, book writing coach. We're just really excited.
It's a deal. That's it. We're so excited. And just like to give like a backstory, I would like to tell, the audience, why this person? It could have been any other person. The story will maybe be surprising to you.
Okay.
So right from my university days, that's like 2016, 2017. I remember you came, I went to Boy University.
Okay.
So I remember that was the time that you actually came to Boy University, and then that was around dating intelligent time. So a friend of mine actually bought the book, and I read the book, and that was the first time I read about Pst Laju.
Oh,
so
yes.
Yes.
Did you eventually buy your own copy, or you use our own to enter marriage?
we use friends also to learn about it, right? But immediately I left school, I started attending CCI right from 2018. And so I've always, of course, known Pst Laju and Pastor and all of that. But then last year, of course, I had my baby. That was September.
Yeah.
And for me, before I even had my child, I've always been afraid of motherhood. I've always had, and then I fell pregnant. I wasn't planning for it.
You're not planning for a bow. It just came upon you.
Came upon me. Right. And it was just difficult accepting, And then towards the end of the journey, I was already, depressed. And then I had my baby. Labor 2 was nasty. The first few months were really a lot for me. And then, after September, I had my baby. I know October, you had your son.
Yeah.
And then I've never really been active on social media, but it was this year, January, I fully started content creation. That's when I started following more close. And then, I always see you. I'm always struggling with one child, and I'm like, yeah, that's like 4 children.
It's because you can't see me struggling. I don't post that one now. So we post what we want people to
see, right? But I'm just like, okay, I think there's a lot to learn, at least from you. You have 4 children. I've always wanted to speak to an older mom.
Older mom.
Older one, like you have kids that are way older.
I understand.
Exactly, right? And just, ask questions just around motherhood. So people like us that are also trying to, at least we are learning, we know how to do better, what to expect, and grow in the journey.
Okay.
Yes.
Thanks for having this older mom.
Thank you for being here. Okay, so my very first question for me, I think is the most important thing, because even a mom sent me a DM asking this question is, how can I navigate my spiritual life? Right? She has a baby and she's even struggling. So how can we as a mom be fervent in our work with God?
I think a great place to start is always to start from who you are. And by that I mean that if, for example, I wanted to build a better relationship with my parents, I don't see myself as a stranger that's getting to know them, and that will not qualify for a relationship with them if I don't do X, Y, Z, A, B, C. I start from the fact that these are people that love me and that birthed me and raised me. And so there is a history there where I can relate to them from a position of understanding who I am. And I think that especially when you're just having a baby, in fact, when you just had a baby, that child is not really trying to say, how can I have a better relationship with my mom? It's a baby, so it's not a perfect example. But just as the child spends more time with you, even in their crying states, there is a bond that is formed. And so there are some times when, and I'm not saying that it should be the entirety of a Christian walk, but there are some times when you can't maybe really pray as you want. But you know the phrase Abba Father. They say it's not really a Jewish word per se. It's just a Jewish term of endearment. Like when a child will say Mama or Baba, or there are some words my child says I can't pick, but you can tell that he's communicating to you. And I think that a good place to start is really from whose you are, and who you are because of whose you are. So the Lord loves me. And even though I desire a relationship with him, I can't desire it more than he does. Because he's taking that first initiative to birth me, to give me eternal life, to have a relationship with me. And so it doesn't mean that I don't have a responsibility, but that responsibility is coming from a place of relationship.
Yeah.
And so you embrace the relationship first. I'm a child of God. In this season of my life, I might be a new mom, a new wife, a
New anything.
new or even old. But the most important thing is I'm a child of God. And so when you come from that place of knowledge, of understanding, that's a good first step. Another thing I would say is don't always wait until the situation is ideal to talk to God. Maybe before you got pregnant or before you gave birth to your baby, you had a specific prayer time at a particular time in the day. But now you don't really know when your baby will be sleeping or when your baby will be awake. So it's important that you take advantage of every opportunity. So of course there is a place of structure, and as your children get older, depending on the amount of help you have, you can begin to build that structure. But I still take advantage of every opportunity to talk to the Lord. It doesn't have to be, I normally study my Bible by 3, but now by 3 my baby was crying, or I was fat down and I slept. But every time you have an opportunity, do that. And sometimes it might even be multitasking opportunities. There have been times when a child is crying and the song I'm singing to the child to sleep is the same as my worship song.
Exactly.
So 2 birds, 1 stone.
Exactly.
I want you to sleep. I want to talk to the Lord. And then in this age of social media, there's a lot more that we can do. For example, 30 devotion holds by 6 a.m., which is the prayer platform for our church, or the prayer platform funded by Pst that many of us use at CCI. So between 6 and 7, around that time, I'm most likely bathing the baby. And so more often than not, around that time, I'm praying, my devotion is on, and then it's really kind of quiet before, thankfully enough, one of the aunties handles the older children to get ready for school. So I would say, don't make sure that guilt doesn't push you farther away from God. Because sometimes by the time you finally have the opportunity to pray, this is even beyond pregnant women or new moms. When you finally have the opportunity to pray, the devil is like, so you've not prayed since, but I'm praying now. I'm praying now.
Exactly.
So don't let guilt push you away from that relationship, because remember, you're starting from who you are. And then don't be afraid to multitask. There's nothing wrong with having communities, praying with other people, making sure that your social media too is littered with an environment of inspiration. There have been times where I'm scrolling online and I just see, pray for 60 seconds when you see this, and it's so powerful. And I'm just like, so when you build an environment of inspiration, it also kind of helps you on your journey. But as time goes by, you now need to make the effort to put in some structure. And it doesn't even have to be anything spectacular at first. It can be, between this time and this time, I can do 15 minutes. I know that every day I can do 15 minutes. I know that every day I can do 15 minutes for prayers and 10 minutes for Bible study. And then as your child grows older, you can begin to increase that. But the important thing is to also let God speak to you. And the thing about being in a new season of your life, especially a season such as motherhood, is you are in a vulnerable state. And yes. And the thing about vulnerable states is the voices are louder. And sometimes negative voices can be louder. But in a vulnerable state, sometimes that's also an opportunity for God's voice to be louder.
True.
So if you will give your vulnerability to Him in those seasons, and just let Him speak to you. And as you're pressing your baby in one hand, you write on your notes in the other hand what God is saying to you. You listen to those songs. But remember that God is more interested than you are. So if you seek Him, you will find Him. So of course there's you have a part to play.
Exactly. You have to take that step to look for Him.
Yes, you have a part to play. But the original step was taken by Him. And so it means that if you seek Him, you will find Him. So don't. He understands, but He's also giving you a grace for this season. And so everything join. You collaborate and everything. Join everything together.
Oh my God! Yes, I think that's very beautiful, and that's also very, very helpful. Okay, so we have another question. It says, what are the biggest challenges you faced in the early days of motherhood, and how did you overcome them?
My first biological daughter, I struggled, I think, to some extent with postpartum depression. Even though I wasn't diagnosed, but with the benefit of hindsight, and I look at, and then it wasn't maybe to the point where I thought about hurting the child or hurting myself.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was just a lot. Yes, I'm considering doing the movie for new moms. Yes, and because I think that many of the movies talk a lot about how once you just see your baby, all the pain vanishes,
and you're so happy,
and you forget everything. So when you're going through pregnancy, that can be difficult. Your mind is, once baby comes, I will rest. That is, I don't want to say it's a life of
biggest hack.
I don't want to say it's a life of bit of hell because children are beautiful, but it's not true.
I totally agree.
Yeah, and I feel like so I don't have a problem with going through difficult times. Well, nobody likes difficult times, but it's easier for me when I know what I'm anticipating.
Exactly. Yes.
And so I feel like with that I was blindsided because labor was laborious. And I really had bad tears.
Jesus.
Yes, because my baby came front facing.
Jesus.
As opposed to so my
I get that face
came, so they came like this. So that means that the circumference for the baby to come out is wider, and then this is complicated.
Well, I get
yeah, but you get what I'm trying to say. So when I came out of, I do like I love the child, like I love you, but I just want the pain to go away, and I just want to sleep. But then you have people who are calling immediately to check, and you know your husband is a new dad. He doesn't really know things like this. It's new for everybody. You come and you meet a room full of family members, and then you go back home, and just when you are sleeping, they say this person is visiting, and I'm like, this child is colicky, so I've not even been sleeping. Then as I'm closing my eyes, so there was just a lot in that season.
Yes.
And I feel like one thing I wish I knew like, okay, this is what I'm going through, and this is what I need to go through this season, which I think is a reason why I think for my second things were
a bit better.
Yes, but there's many things I didn't know, and so I didn't really know how to even communicate how I felt. So it always seemed like one was transferring aggression, like you don't want to go out to your friends, you don't want to. So the impact on marriage, the impact on relationships, because I really couldn't understand myself at that point in time. It took me a while to finally say, oh, this is what's going on, this is how I can better handle it. And do this, I think just the experience of never having the experience.
Exactly. Yes.
Because I know that for my first, I was breastfeeding actively. Like I wasn't expressing until about 4 or 5 months. And this is a child that can stay on the breast 1 hour, 2 hours.
Just sucking.
And then you're recovering. So I it's a lot. It was a lot. It was a lot. I think I'm just really trying to understand this new phase, especially because I don't think I was as prepared. I knew what to expect in each month of pregnancy. I had read it online. I knew, but that aftermath of having the baby, and then adjusting, I think that I'm just really grateful to have really had, even then, a lot of support. My mom was with me up until my baby turned 6 months. So those things did help. But I think that would be it, like that one. And then of course, I think people should talk more about the impact of a new baby on a marriage. That one.
That's okay. Please go ahead.
I feel like it's something, and it's not something that only women should prepare for. It's also something that men should prepare for as well. So maybe if you have a question in that direction, I would talk a bit on that. So there was that, and then I think another thing was it pushed me back to remember who I was, and that who I was wasn't because of the things I could achieve. Because there have been seasons in my life where I'm generally a high achiever. I was doing stuff, preaching here, writing this, making this, and then sometimes you're in a pregnancy where you've been asked to be put on bed rest, and you who is used to getting stuff done, you are now just
this is making me emotional. I'm sorry, because it's like you're saying like my reality, like I can so relate.
You are now just a mom who is
who
is lying on your back without strength to do much and watching a lot of people accomplish stuff. And so it pushed me to realize, okay, so I'm not supposed to define myself by what I do. I'm supposed to define myself by whose I am. So it's not really about the roles I'm playing. Do you understand? And that's why sometimes we say, they told me not to move. I moved. I'm tired of staying in one place. How come my life just went? I'm like, you're literally going your full human being. And so if all you do in this season of your life is grow this child, is rest, because I said your body is working raising a baby. So if that, and there's some women that can do it all at the same time, and I've had pregnancies or seasons in different pregnancies where I could be up and down. And I'll never forget a conversation a single young guy told me one time when he felt like I was accomplishing a lot in when I had my second daughter. And he said, so women will use my pregnancy as an excuse for laziness, or you've shown them. I said, my dear, hold it. Because I said, it's not, I said, this thing you are saying, don't say it outside.
Yes, so.
Because there have been seasons of my life where I couldn't.
Yeah.
And every woman's pregnancy is different. I've known people who would be pregnant and are in the hospital every week for the 30-something weeks of pregnancy. So it's different for everybody. I don't know if I've answered your question, but those are my thoughts on the matter generally.
Oh my God, there's so much. If I just this one question, I feel like you said a whole lot, and I can so relate to when you talk. Because for me, my first week after I keep thinking it was hell. It's like one of the darkest in quotes moments for me, because like I said, before I had my baby at 37 weeks, I had high blood pressure, right? And but even from beginning, I was vomiting to like my 20 weeks, and then labor. I was labor for 24 hours. I had an emergency C-section, so it was just a lot.
I feel like emergency CS is the worst, because I wish you just told me.
Thank you.
So that I will sleep, wake up, and come to the hospital. And I think with my son, because I had 2 vaginal births, so I wasn't expecting the CS. This is my third baby. It's supposed to be the easiest one. Only to, after laboring for a bit, contractions were not consistent, but the whole thing was just annoying.
Wow.
And then just after really being in and out of that for over 12 hours, and I'll say, okay, well, I'll talk to 16 hours. Okay, let's do a CS. And by your entire system is already stressed out because you haven't slept, you haven't
eaten. I didn't eat for like 14 hours.
There's that. And then the mindset of, because now if I knew I was having a CS, I'll prepare myself. What is CS recovery like?
Exactly.
What does it? Do you understand? Only to now get into a CS recovery is nobody's meat. so it's really a lot. But in case you're watching this, I feel like it's also important to make you realize that there really is beauty in pregnancy. And there's beauty in motherhood, and Shio is here. She's going to go again. Despite all the
exactly, that's everything.
I've had 4 children, so I've stopped. But she's going again. So it means that you have no reason to fear. God will see you through. And in like the songwriter says, in the pressing, in the crushing, there's new wine coming out. So there are some things that I share now that I may not never have been able to share if I didn't go through
that process.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not just even in motherhood; it's in marriage, it's in other areas of my life where I learned this lesson in this situation, and then it carried me throughout other situations in the future. So I think it's something to point out.
Yeah, exactly. Like in actually all my videos, because I know when I start talking, there's, especially when I post videos on Instagram, like the moms to be, they start saying, I'm scared though, is this the reality? And I always try and reassure them that, see, the reason why we do this is not to scare you. Like Pio said, she wished she had known, so we want you to know. So there's a bit of mental preparation, you know what to expect, and so that your transitioning is a bit easier, right, and it's a bit smoother.
And it's different for everyone.
Exactly.
Some people just labor 1 hour
and it's done.
So, and I pray that for you, right?
I really do.
So have no fear.
Yeah, and just to mention, because Pio talked about like marriage, because I actually recently did a YouTube video Lady Jennifer Collade, where we sat down and actually answered questions on marriage regarding having kids, right? We answered like a lot. It was over an hour, right? So you can also like go and check out that video where we talked extensively on the effect of marriage, kids after marriage. So okay, yes, let's go to another all right question. So how do you balance work, ministry, everything that you're doing with motherhood, and what advice do you have for someone who also wants to do the same?
This is the question that's supposed to make me a billionaire, because if I had like $1 for every time I'm asked, I should be so rich right now. I won't be working with mere mortals. I should be. I'm just kidding. So the thing about balance is that it's possible. What balance means today might be different from what balance means tomorrow. It's just like riding a bicycle. I've been trying to learn, I've still not learned. I'll think about my life today, about how there are things I said I was going to learn to do, and I start and I haven't like
finished.
Like learning to cycle, learning to swim. God will help me step by step. But if, for example, you are riding a bike, you are balanced on the bike. But if your idea of riding that bike is to just leave your house and go straight, you're going to have an accident. Because balance is a consistent act. It's a balancing act, literally. And it means that you have to be aware of your environment, aware of yourself, aware of what's coming, aware of sometimes even what's behind you, so you can know what proper balance is. So if you're on a bike, for example, just going straight or driving a specific way in a specific direction because that's how you do it and that's how things are done, and you want to be balanced, will not help the situation. So it's understanding yourself, understanding what the will of the Lord is. That one is even the most important. Understanding the major players in your life. Do you understand? And understanding where you want to go. So for example, if you find me in a place doing something, so that God asked me to do it, or I believe it's going to lead me towards my goals, or the person is cool and I love them and I just want to do it, it is unlikely that you find me in a place that I don't want to be in. So God may have told you to do something, but if He didn't tell me, it means that you can do it without me. So so I say no a lot, actually. I don't say yes to everything.
Thank you for saying yes to us.
I'm very glad to be here, and then you've really gone out of your way for me a lot. So I'm very glad to be here. But I say no quite a lot, and I feel like if people said no more often, it'll be easier for them to say yes to the things that they really are supposed to be doing. I think that's basically it. So it's not, something might look small to people, but God wants you there, so you say yes. Something might look big to people, but God doesn't want you there, so you say no. So that's and I think I may have a number of weaknesses, but I've never really been the kind of person to say yes to something if I don't believe God is leading me to do it. Right from I think even in uni they asked me to be on student council twice. I said, I don't believe something that God will have me do. Do you understand? So just really so that you can now focus on what God will have you do. But if you say yes to everything, you might miss out on the things that God will have you do. Another thing is it's a grace thing. And that's another thing. If you are doing what God will have you do, there's grace for it. So I believe that when scripture says there's time for everything, there's a lesson there in doing everything at the right time. But there's also a lesson there in the fact that if God has given you things to do, He has created time for you to do it. And so it might seem like everybody has 24 hours. But if God has asked me to do 6 things, it means that those 24 hours are enough for me to do those 6 things excellently. So there's grace for that. Understanding what the will of God is also very, very important. Understanding what your goals are, what you hope to achieve. I think those things are very, very important. Understanding what your values are. So, for example, for me, family is priority. And it doesn't mean I have to be in my family every single moment of every day. But it means that in my decision making in the long term, I prioritize them. So this week, for example, I have a retreat I'm attending somewhere. I have a hangout with my friends, a staycation for a day. This same week, I'm supposed to preach. There are a couple of things. But in the midst of this, I figured out, okay, I'm going to be out this day and this day. My husband is away. In between these 2 trips, I'm going to fix one day where I'm intentionally with my children. So it doesn't mean that because I'm a good mom, I must take them everywhere with me. But it does mean that I prioritize them. Do you understand? So for example, they went on a trip with their dad. They hadn't been around for a while. On Sunday, because normally I preach at the island church, he preaches in Ikeja, and many times they follow their grandparents to Ikeja. But many times when they're around, they want to come with me. On Sunday, they slept late. And so one of them woke up crying. I said, why are you crying? He said, oh, they said you're going to leave me. I said, I won't leave you, don't worry. Don't even, just, okay, quickly get ready, I'll wait for you. But then I forgot to wait for her.
Oh my.
So I was already on the road to the island. And by the time I called, she was crying over the phone. So I said, this is a big thing for this. It might not be a big thing for me because I'll see you. And then we had to travel that same day to Ibadan. So I looked at it. I said, these children will feel this particular kind of way. In fact, one was crying. I didn't know the other one was crying. So the other one called me with her grandma's phone to show me that she was crying. So what I now did was, as soon as I closed from church, I went to pick them from church. Just surprise them that, I still came for you. Sorry I couldn't. So that's why I'm saying be aware of your environment. You need to really be in touch with in touch with yourself, in touch with your spouse, in touch with your kids, in touch with your business, with your career. Just really self-awareness is such an important lesson. And I think that if you are more aware, you can now make decisions that help you, just so that you're not like someone who's riding a bike with your eyes closed. So that you're aware of your environment and you're properly able to function and balance, and you're also aware of where you're going to. So with that sense of direction, balance is easier when you have a sense of direction and a sense of priority. And then of course a sense definitely of who you are and what God will have you do. Another thing is I work really hard. So I do. I work really hard. I try to prioritize rest as much as possible, but I work really hard. I try to plan. So I'm doing something, for example, in December. I started working on it in August. There are times when usually by the time I've entered, this is my first time of really doing a big project in December. But usually by the time I've entered September, October, I'm in January. So I'm not taking on something that's I'm not taking, like, it's almost impossible for me to say I want to do something big and I'm doing it tomorrow and then I just wake up, surprise, and I'm doing it. So I because I understand my dynamic, right? I know that the people I serve in ministry matter to me. The people I serve on social media matter to me. My family matters to me. And so because of that, I try to be more intentional in planning and in communicating what those plans are. And then I think I also have a really great support system. So I also have really like I have a husband who loves and supports me. I have parents who love and support me. I have in-laws who love and support me. I have staff that love and support me. I have children that love and support me. So I really do have a good support system. I know that I don't have to do everything myself. There's some things I have to do myself. And so I prioritize those things. But there's something that I don't have to be the one to do it. But it doesn't mean that I'm going to abscond. I'm just going to supervise and make sure that those things are done well. So I think those things, those are the things that really help me. And then I do a lot of things, but I don't always do all of them at the same time. So for example, if I'm making a film, I'm not writing a book. If I'm new, let's say I just resumed maybe a new maybe as resident pastor of a new campus, I may not really take anything external for a while because I really want to focus on that. Do you understand? So really just
prioritizing.
Yes, prioritizing, and then not doing everything at the same time. So it might look like I'm doing it at the same time, but I probably planned for this a while back, did what I needed to do, and then now, so just really I try to just put everything in as much as possible, so that even though I'm juggling a lot, I'm not juggling. It's unlikely that you see me carrying two big projects at the same time, right? So also just really understanding, okay, what's going on in the ministry, what's going on in my husband's life that I need to support. Maybe this can take the back burner for a while. When this is sorted, then this can come to the front. I think those things really help.
Wow, I love that. And I love that you also answered some of our questions even. Okay. So how did you handle the emotional and physical changes that come with motherhood, and what, I mean, again, advice? You are someone that's struggling with the change.
How did I handle it? It's meant from advice now. At first I cried a lot. Well, there was some crying, especially for like the first time, but I think there was also just really gratefulness, understanding, because I had dealt with pregnancy loss before. Before my first biological daughter. So even though I was going through a lot, I was just really grateful to be here and have a healthy child. So some of the tears were also tears of joy as well. And I think that a great way to overcome any kind of depression or difficult time is to count your blessings. And when you count your blessings, it's difficult for the devil to lie to you that you can't get through whatever it is you're going through. So just really being grateful for a family that was intact, for my health being intact, even though it wasn't easy recovering, but no major organs were hurt. I was good, and then I had a healthy baby. And so I think one major thing that helped me was gratefulness, counting my blessings. And if you're in a situation where you find yourself ungrateful, choose to be grateful. So that's the thing about situations like you can choose. You can be in a situation like, I'm just so tired, this, and then you remember and you choose to be grateful. So it's not even beating yourself up over being ungrateful, because that one can lead to its own stress again. Yes, but it is just choosing to be grateful. This child is a gift from God. And I'm privileged and opportune to have carried this gift. And I think gratefulness really helped me. Just really talking to the Lord really helped me. And then I knew from my experience, I knew what I now wanted my experience to be. So, for example, when I had my second daughter, I was big on boundaries. Of course, there's some people that will always have the privilege of waking you up from sleep. Well, not everybody needs to have that privilege. And then it also helped me because I was not even in Lagos, I was in Abuja. And so in Abuja, the people that were in Abuja were people who I could have a conversation with and say, okay, you want to visit? This is the best time to visit. As opposed to you're in Lagos, everybody. So, and then I was still younger then. So I think doing it again kind of put me in a situation where I knew I love breastfeeding, but I knew that I wanted to start expressing on time. I wanted my child to be able to take breast and take bottle, so that in case I needed to rest, because what used to happen with my eldest then was I would be sleeping, and whenever she needed to eat, I had to wake up. I had to wake up. And even though I had a lot of support, I realized that the support would have helped me more if the person watching her could also feed her. So I started expressing early for both my second daughter and my son. Right. My eldest is adopted, so that one is not part of. So in case people are confused, I say my children are 4. So I think just really understanding myself and what worked for me, understanding how to now maintain those relationships, because people are important. And I don't want, because I was going through a difficult time, to now push away to the point where even when things are better, the relationship is so fractured. So I think just the wisdom of knowing the kind of relationships I wanted to have. After it wasn't always easy anyway.
Of course.
But just knowing the kind of marriage I wanted to have, the kind of relationship I wanted to have with the people who were in my circle, and so that helped. Even though I wasn't perfect in it, but I think I began to do better as time went on. But I think just really gratefulness, and then support systems are great, where you now know I'm not the only one. I mean, sometimes only support systems can be online. Another thing that will help is just really being better prepared. Better preparation. I think that also helps. Mental preparation. We're going to be stronger. We will be able to handle this. I've got this. God has got me. This season will pass. Let me just enjoy it. And then just really seeing the joy of the children who had gone ahead. And knowing, like I was carrying my son, I think it was yesterday, I was like, this boy is so big. I just gave birth to him yesterday, and he turns one next month.
Oh, yes.
How
time flies.
It really does fly. So it will pass. And looking back, there are moments where I wished I had just really spent them enjoying this season more. And then as I grew, I began to do that, as opposed to worrying so much, I think. But also really showing yourself grace. Showing yourself grace. I think showing yourself grace is such a powerful thing, because you even if you've been down this road before, every pregnancy is different.
It is.
And if you show yourself grace more, the interesting thing is you'll be able to show other people grace even more. So don't. I've seen moms who will say, I don't feel like I'm a good mom because I can't breastfeed. And I'm like, fed is best. The child is eating. When people are walking on the road, you don't know, is it written on their head, this one's up to 1 year, this one's up to 2 years, this one's up, and it's really beautiful to watch, because for example, for my son, I tried to do exclusive for a while, at least 5.5 months. But but for the girls, I did exclusive 6 months, and I breastfed till 15 months. Like I breastfed, even after 2, I breastfed till 15 months. But the thing with my son was, he liked breast milk, but from the bottle. So once we stopped exclusive, I didn't have power to be expressing 4 times a day like I used to. And he doesn't have the patience to stay and be breastfeeding. So once we entered 6 months, he had stopped all forms of breast milk altogether. And I didn't die.
He's okay.
He's fine. Okay. He's healthy, right? So but sometimes we now set unrealistic standards. Not unrealistic, but we set some kinds of standards for ourselves. We're like, oh my God, this is not breastfeeding. He will be fine. He's a healthy boy. He's doing okay. Do you understand? So I think as I grew, I learned to show myself grace more, and it also helped me to show other people grace more. If you're the kind of person that would ask people, when are you getting pregnant, what's going on, by the time maybe you lose a child, I'm not saying it will happen to you, but if you've now gone through a miscarriage, there are some things you just never see. You understand?
Yeah.
If you've had a child that's had delayed development for any reason, or you've seen that, not even delayed development, you've just seen that sometimes children don't walk until they're 15 months.
Yeah.
When you see somebody's child that's not walking, you say, they never they walk. My own. So experience just teaches you to show even more grace to people. Because by the time you hear the things that people are going through, so I was watching a video yesterday where a midwife was talking about how this woman had been pregnant 8 times, and this was her 8th pregnancy, and she had no child to show for it. So just be shy. Even if you're watching a baby, you're not pregnant, you're a woman, you're a man. Just be kind. When you see, I remember the beauty about getting old is you are better able to advocate for yourself. Remember someone had not seen me since my wedding, and I got married in 2014, and then you first time I see me since my wedding, you say, you're not fat. I say, yes, I just had a baby. What makes you think you can?
As you just
because this is December, I had my baby in October. Like you obviously, if you knew what was going on in my life, you would have said that. But the fact that you don't know what's going on in my life now means you don't have the right to say that, because you don't even know what else
is going on. Exactly.
People, and there might be. I have people in my circle who just had a baby and look like they've never been pregnant before. Kudos to them. To each his own. And are we not going to the gym? Are we not trying? We are going. We are making progress. Small. God is helping us, but just really showing grace to people and just really being more sensitive. And those are things that can be made.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Pio. So I think we'll just maybe take one more question before we, if you have any other thing to say to us.
Okay.
And I know we talked a lot about, relationships, right? And I mean, how, in terms of friendship, in terms of marriage, how did having kids affect all of that? How were you able to also navigate it fully? Yeah.
Wow. This question. Well, situations like this, it takes two. And the truth is, the same way you've not been down this road before, it's most likely that your husband has not also been down this road before. And some men, due to their exposure, know how to better handle situations like this. Some men, due to their exposure, even though their intentions are right, don't always know how to handle things like this. So it's important that if you're a man watching this, for example, it's a good time to start asking those questions. Because if all you saw was, my dad used to bring money and my mom was taken care of, but maybe you never saw your dad change a diaper or feed a baby, you now need to expose yourself to things like that. And I think that one of the best things you can do as a man is, especially for your children, is to actually love their mom. So that also helps. But in case you're a woman who's watching this and maybe your husband is not the most hands-on parent, I would say show him grace. And you might be like, well, me, I wasn't born a mother. I gave birth to the child and everybody expects me. Do your part and show him grace. And a part of showing him grace is also learning how to gracefully communicate, but not taking offense when maybe he doesn't always grasp the entirety of that. Because the truth is, this stage will pass, but the marriage will remain. So if you are single, marry a kind person. So even if somebody is not the most domesticated person, if they are kind at heart, as time goes by and they begin to communicate what your needs are, or they begin to observe what your needs are, they are more likely to step in. They may not be as domesticated as the other person who grew up saying things like this, or who knows better and can be as hands-on
as much as possible.
Yes, but you will see that effort. Another thing I would say is the fact that your partner does not support in the exact way
that you want
doesn't mean that they are not supporting at all. So I would say, as much as possible, magnify their efforts. So that's why when people say things like, why will you thank your husband for taking care of
the child? This is nice child too.
I smile. I smile because every marriage is different. You understand? I smile because you must figure out what works for you in the marriage. It's just like, maybe what example would I give now? It's just like, maybe your husband drops money, and that's why will you say thank you for dropping money?
It's not his duty.
It's not his duty. It's not his family. Or maybe you serve him food and say, why would he thank me for serving it? Because even when you go to a restaurant and you're paying, and the waiter serves you. You're paying sometimes what they serve you. If you were to buy food stuff and eat in your house,
You do better.
Yes, now you use it to eat for 1 month, but now you're using it to eat in 1 day, and they say when you say thank you. So just really learning that we should act not even based on what we are going through, but based on who we are. I'm gonna say that again. Based on who we are. You know, there's situations where a woman is. I've seen situations where maybe a woman is pregnant or she just had a baby, and for some reason they're not having sex, and then the man goes outside, starts to with someone, and say, "Oh, it's because my wife was pregnant." You are acting based on who you are, not based on the situation. So when we get into some kinds of situations where even when things are difficult for you as a new mom, you're coming from a place of I'm a daughter of God, and I know how I ought to behave in this situation, even when things are not ideal, but remembering who you are and what you are building, and as a man, to remembering who you are and what you are building. I think those things really help, and then arming yourself with the right information. So I think I have a video. Help, my wife is having a baby. That's a good one to watch. I think I also have a video for
Men.
first time couples.
Yes.
So help, my wife having a baby is for men. But now I have a new video coming out soon for first time couples. I think is it help we are having a baby or something like that. But it's for couples who are having their first baby. So I think I answered some of these questions there.
Great.
But just really learning what works for you and what works for your marriage and what you hope to build in the long run and in the long term. And then prayer. What else? Prayer.
Yes, I mean, thank you so much, Kira. To be honest, one video that you touched almost all of our questions, right? So I don't know, you have maybe final remarks, anything you want to say to a mom out there, a mom to be, any important thing that maybe we haven't even touched that you think someone needs to know or hear about.
Okay, so if you're a mom or you're a mom to be, or you're a mom in waiting, which is also a mom to be, I want you to know first and foremost that Christ defines you, and you can find your joy in Him and your joy from Him. And this is very important as we evolve from new moms to moms who are seeing our children grow and develop. If you are depending on the children for relevance, you put a lot of undue pressure on them. If you are defining yourself based on motherhood alone, you put a lot of undue pressure on yourself and on the children. But if you define yourself through the lens of Christ, there is a confidence and an assuredness that comes from that. And that's a good starting point for any kind of confidence, any kind of purpose, any kind of God esteem. So I would say just remember that you are God. So maybe you're even waiting, you're not even pregnant yet. Don't feel like your relevance will only come when the children come. You're relevant now in God's plan. And so embrace Him. And then if you are around new moms, go out of your way to be there for them. Ask them what they need. But sometimes what you think they need might be different from what they need. But ask them what they need. Ask them what they need, and just be there for them.
Understand them.
And if you're a husband to a new mom, also understand her.
Be patient.
And know that in the dynamic of things, your role is not to tell her. Of course, there's nothing wrong with advising her on the things you feel a mother should do. But your primary role is not to define the kind of mother she is going to be, but to define the kind of father you are going to be, kind of father, kind of husband that you're going to be. And know that seasons like this, when we are vulnerable, are seasons that the devil can try to use to hurt our families, hurt our marriages. But those seasons are also one of the most powerful opportunities to give it all to the Lord, and that God can also use. So if you just walk with emotions, I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm upset, I'm unhappy, I'm feeling, you might miss stuff. You might miss a lot of stuff. But we see Mary and Elizabeth, two very pregnant women, who in the midst of all that might have been going on, one person is older, husband can talk. And it is us that know that our husband will start talking
at the end
when she gives birth to her son. But there's an uncertainty going on in her life at this time. Plus a pregnancy, old age, geriatric pregnancy. And we have another one who everybody thinks she got pregnant out of wedlock. Who, if not for the intervention of God, they would have broken up with her.
Yeah.
But when you see two of them, their conversations are spiritual. Their mindset is on what God has said about them, what God has said about these children that they are carrying. And not just for themselves, but for the other person. Being sensitive enough to know God's will for your life and being sensitive enough to speak into your sister's life. So, pregnant, we are not our hormones. Doesn't mean that we don't understand what hormones can do. We do. Doesn't mean your spouse is not something they should. Pregnant or not, we are still spirit-led women. And so, as much as possible, we must embrace our place. Say the words we want to see. Even when things are hard, say the words you want to see. Take our position. When you can be lying down, unable to move, let your mouth be praying in tongues. All those things. So just really understanding what the will of God is and embracing it for your family. And I think that motherhood is so important. And when we talk about the importance of motherhood, people try to downplay it and say, what about the importance of fatherhood? When we talk about the importance of raising daughters, what about the importance of raising sons? The argument doesn't make sense. Because if I talk about the importance of food, it doesn't mean I've neglected the importance of breathing.
Water or something,
You understand? So both are important, but the importance of one doesn't downplay the importance of the other.
Yeah.
And so just really embracing what the will of God is and understanding, okay, in this season of my life, God, who do you want to make me? What do you want to make of me? And what do you want me to make of the things and the people that you have sent to me? So understanding, one of my favorite scriptures now, do not walk as unwise but as wise. Understanding what the will of the Lord is. Another of my favorite scriptures, Philippians 4:8, whatever things are true, whatever things are lovely, whatever things of good report, if there be any praise of virtue, think on these things. So also your mindset, because if you're afraid of pregnancy, you're afraid of, fear is not a good place to start. So the fact that something isn't easy doesn't mean that you should be afraid of it. Right? So go to the word and look at all the women who a word of prophecy came about their children. All of them, the children were born in health. Everybody you see on the surface of the earth right now, somebody gave birth to them.
Yes.
And most of their mothers are still alive. So never come from a place of fear, come from a place of faith. And I'm praying for safe delivery for every expecting mom.
Amen.
I'm praying for a smooth and strengthened journey for every newborn. And I'm praying for favor and the testimony for every mom in waiting. And I pray for grace for every family represented watching this video in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I don't have the words. Thank you so much. Guys, please remember to subscribe, like, share, and please subscribe to PL's YouTube channel. See if you are not even watching, I don't know what to say to you.
My channel is Pst Laju Iren.
Yes, please. She talks about relationship, love, and
I talk about love, life, and faith.
Exactly, that's love, life, exactly everything, joy. So please do also subscribe to our channel, Laju Iren, and yes, go and watch all of our old videos. Follow me on Instagram, Oluwaseun_Sidame, and I'll see you at the next video. Bye.
Bye.